Well, hey everybody, you're here for another video. My last video was the Rolexification of the cycling industry, where I focused on how products are veering from the pure function of the product to the form of the product, how things look aesthetically. And today I've got another made-up word for you. It's called the Teslification of the cycling industry, and we're going to be talking about that. My last video, I had a guy who got really upset. I made fun of Cybertrucks and interpreted that as me being political. This isn't politics. This is me not liking, I don't like Cybertrucks, and I don't like the Teslification business model. And what is that exactly? So if you look up the stock market, Tesla stock is worth 20 times more than Ford stock. And why is that when there's more Fords on the road? The reason behind that is how much data Tesla collects from their cars. They have cameras all over the cars that are always recording. Every owner has a Tesla app on their phone. This data acquisition that Tesla gets from all of its customers is why Tesla is worth so much money. That's why the stock is 400 and something and Ford stock is below $20. So the model of Tesla isn't just to make a car, it's to make data, to get everybody's information from. And I'm seeing this veer its way into the cycling industry, and I think this is the cause of the SRAM transmission and all these electrical group sets. You know, when I was working last summer at a bike race, I was at the 90-mile mark. And at the 90-mile mark, if you're going to get a flat tire, you're probably going to get it before then. Your bike's going to work really good. But there was a dozen or so women who had electronic, like SRAM red group sets. And at the 90-mile mark, their shifting stopped working. And it was either a battery problem, their batteries died, or it was an app sync problem. And I felt like I was working at Best Buy. I was in an IT department. I wasn't a mechanic fixing things. I'd be like, do you have the SRAM app downloaded on your phone? Okay, let's get your phone out, let's download the app, let's resync everything and see if it works again. And it would always work after the resync. But that got me thinking, so SRAM may not, all these electric bike component companies, they may not sell your data to a third party, but them having that data drastically increases the value of their brand. You know, if SRAM can say, oh, we have 2 million app downloads, 2 million regular users of our app, when they want to go get terms at a bank or whatever, they have a bigger asset. That is an asset. All that data acquisition they get, they know how often you ride your bike, they know roughly how many miles are on your bike. So when they put electronics on your derailleurs and you have an app that you need to sync to for it to function properly every few months, that is data acquisition. And just because they don't sell it to a third party, or if they do, that's irrelevant. They're making their money. They're not making money exactly, but they're raising the brand value of the business by getting all that information. And I think that is the driving force behind electric components. Because if you look at the SRAM transmission, you know, I'll admit, I'm not a curmudgeon or a Luddite. When the SRAM transmission came out a few years ago, I was literally one of the first people who bought it. I had it within 2 weeks of it dropping. I had the XO group set on my Gorilla Gravity Trail pistol, and I tried it out for a few weeks, and I decided it was kind of silly. You know, I tried it out. You know, a lot of people, they're like, if you don't like something, it's just because you haven't tried it. It was like, no, I try it out because I need to try out products so I know how to work on the products. So I've tried it out and I don't like it. But I think the main driver of this is just to get all this data. And then you see on top of it, there's so many other brands making good wired drivetrains. You've got Madrone, you've got Vivo, you have TRP. I have TRP on this group set. And all these group sets that have come out are better wired drivetrains than anything SRAM or Shimano has made. And SRAM and Shimano are so on board with this electrification, even though it weighs more, shifts slower, and in my opinion is less durable. You know, you're already seeing wires need to be resoldered on there. The only selling point that I would say SRAM transmission has over via competition of cable is that you can step on the derailleur, supposedly, and it won't break. But I feel like that might be a positive, that might be a negative. You know, Sick Bicycles, he said that instead of the derailleur itself getting bent, the forces just travel to the hanger and bend the derailleur hanger instead. It must be better to have a sacrificial part like a derailleur hanger that's 20 bucks to bend. But, you know, let's give them that. That plus of having a super sturdy derailleur has nothing to do with it having electric parts on it. And I feel like they were kind of forced to come out with a cabled version of the transmission. But for the first time in history, you know, they came out with a new drivetrain, the Transmission 90, and they didn't come out with it in the XX1 trim, the race trim, the lightweight trim. And I feel like if the battery is really better version, then come out with the cable version and let people decide. Let your pro racers decide which one they want to actually ride on. But they don't give you the option. And I feel like they're leaving money on the table. So big reason I think they're leaving money on the table, not creating high-end cable drivetrains anymore, is the data acquisition that I just talked about, the Teslification. You know, how much data can they get in their business to make their business value go up? But another thing is patents. I feel like most of the patents that made cabled high-range drivetrains awesome is becoming out of patent. It's going out of patent. You have Microshift, you have Levu, or whatever these Asian manufacturers. You have TRP, you have Vivo, you have these people that are making really good products. And if you can't commit on a patent, holding a patent to make your product super special, you've got to venture into the patent of technology. SRAM alone last year put in 40 patents for their electronic shifting, their electronic stuff on their bike. And back to my last video, I talked about headset cable routing, and there was a few people who were like, headset cable routing makes your bike faster. It saves wattages. And it's like, you go put a hardtail on a bike, you go ride a hardtail mountain bike, the exact same parts as a high-end full suspension, you're gonna go slower on the hardtail. Like, you're gonna look up your Strava segment, you can compare your data, you can compare your heart rate, everything. You can show that you go slower on a hardtail. You know, when you put suspension on something, it's provably faster, okay? I'm not taking anyone's word on anything. You know, prove it to me. Prove it to me that headsets jammed through your frame make the bike faster. No one's been able to prove it. It's all been rhetoric. It's been wind tunnel testing. It's been random graphs. And you know, every year they say the bikes get faster and faster. But if you extrapolate every year the perceived wattage savings, by now the bike would it should be pedaling itself. You know, it's dramatized. And no one seems to be saying straight up, it's not real. And you know, why is that? Well, YouTube, I'm doing this for fun and for my regular business. I run a mobile bike shop, and I thought AI is taking over and I want a good brand presence online, and I make money fixing bikes. So I'm not making a whole lot of money on YouTube. The way you make money on YouTube is you speak nice about every product SRAM comes out with. You speak nice about every product Shimano comes out with. You don't talk about these things. So this is just kind of me having fun with you guys, telling you what I feel like things really are like. If you like it, you can subscribe. It's the slow season right now, so I have time to think about video ideas and talk about them. And yeah, let's just keep uploading videos at least once a week. If things start picking up with spring season, it might be every other week, but I'm enjoying making these videos, and I like the feedback I get. I like the banter. I feel like it's fun. You know, the world is full of politics, and it's full of a lot of just crazy stuff, and I feel like it's really fun for me to focus on bikes, complain about bikes, argue with people who have different opinions about bikes, because it's just bikes, you know? So that's my opinion, is I don't like electric shifting. I think it's less reliable. I like my cables. The cables are reliable. Everyone should try out this TRP Evo group set. It shifts better than SRAM XX1 did when it was cable. So it's my favorite group set. I know there's the Vivo shifter and derailleur. There's the Madrone shifter, the Madrone derailleur, and I'd like to try those things out too, but yeah. So bikes, keep them cabled, keep them free from batteries. Let's have fun. Have a good day, everybody.